Well, hi. Welcome to the fifth part of the lecture on the labor force, participation and occupational segregation of the gender economics course. This lecture is part of the lecture series prepared for the Middlesex University Northern Cyprus campus, and the course is basically on the introduction to feminist economics. In this part, we will start to look to the human capital model of the Blau, Ferber, and Winkler, which is book chapter 6, which basically the main idea is again, human capital can partially explain wage differences of women. While women mostly got more formal education, the fields they choose usually pay less, and also they are less likely to get training and experience in jobs they got. So, as a starting point, actually, I should get you some. Well, first, maybe we should define also what is human capital. Human capital is any kind of investment or factor which will increase the productivity of the humans. Mainly, I mean the way mainstream economics looks capital. Marxian economics looks different, but here the mainstream idea is actually used. You have individual unskilled labor force which is producing, which is participating in production, and then you have physical capital. That physical capital, independent of that labor, is also contributing to the production. Since when you have it, you have more product. That means it is contributing to the production. From when we take the mainstream economics logic. And human capital is seen another form of capital. Kind of, it is separated all the skills and knowledge independent from the worker, and it is considered as another factor that is contributing to the production almost independently of the worker himself or herself. And that's the birth of the human capital idea. This separate element within the humans that is increasing the production process. How is it measured? Mainly the most common measurement of the human capital is the education level, which is measured by the years of education. Although, of course, the education quality might change and in different countries, and also even in different fields, maybe. In addition to the regular education, the work experience and on-job trainings are examples of the ways to increase human capital. So when a worker is considering to invest to human capital, well, this is actually the typical way. I mean, let's say you have two paths. One, you won't invest in your human capital, for example, by not going to the college. In that case, you might immediately start to earn money. As you get more experience, of course, you still get some human capital due to experience, and your wage will increase, and at some point it will slightly start to decrease as you get old, and you will end up here. When you basically decide to go to college, at first you are losing a certain amount of money you could have earned if you have gone directly to the work after high school or without taking the investment in education. And then, so this is your indirect cost, the lost money you could have earned instead, if you had worked instead of spending time for education. Of course, here we assume that we don't take any pleasure from the education itself, although, for example, you can easily take an education like a course on the, I don't know, cooking, which might be fun also for you, but let's assume we don't just care for the monetary benefits. We don't like the time spent in the education process. I don't know whether this is true for you or not. You should decide that. And then you have direct costs. Those costs might include the money you directly pay to the institution, but also some other costs, like if you do travel costs, travel costs, cost for educational equipment, the cost for accommodation if you stay at the place of the college, all are part of the direct cost. So these are your costs, and then After you finish education, you start to get a wage which will be higher than the wage the high school graduate or a person without that education will get. And you try to make sure these benefits are greater than these benefits. Well, usually, if you look to the area, they look like greater, basically. But the main point is the income you earn in future might be basically worth less for a person compared with the income lost or the cost paid today. So basically, when we actually calculate it, we need to do some, let's say, some mathematical. We should discount this additional benefits because they are earned in the future. So we should give them a value less than per dollar. A dollar earned in the future should worth less to me compared with dollar I spent today, basically. And that discount depends, of course, changes from the person to person. Actually, and in the below Farmer and Winkler chapter 6, you can see how basic this calculation is made, and you can look to that basically. And actually, these are the main issues of the this chapter. Let's start with the data. Actually, I directly want to go to the chapter. Let's go down. Well, this is the first data. You can see the differences between the people who got them different levels of education. As you see, most males and females actually were getting, the percentage of males and females getting less than 4 years of high school were 39 and 38. Female were slightly less. And then the more females are, however, in the high school graduate camp. The people, the male gets slightly more college years, and significantly more college graduates of males existed at the time. Currently, women are kind of better in the when we take the high school, the college graduates, and they are better in significantly better if we look to the number of people who get some college at least. And men are in these two segments much higher. So women get in general a better education if we just look measure the education in terms of years of education. So should they get better wage? And here you can see also the numbers for the blacks and Hispanics and Asians. I leave it to you. Well, let's look at it. For non-Hispanic whites, of course, if you are white but not Hispanic, you are not counted as actual real white. Real white is actually European descendant people who come directly from Europe, not first to Latin America and then to the Europe, in United States at least. So white is actually a misnomer. It should be European, but I still use the name since it is used here. So, as you see, in case of non-Hispanic whites, at least for the graduates, the number is low, although, well, still the same trend is there. Same trend is there for almost all groups, actually. It's actually, for the Hispanics, even the percentage is higher for the female, for the 4-year or higher college graduates. Only in the case of Asians, actually, the college graduates, male college graduates are more common than the female college graduates, although it's still less than 3%. But that might be because Asians are more maybe traditional. And note also the college graduate percentage is highest among Asians, actually, also. Let's go down. And this table looks to the other type of degrees, but I'm passing that. So these are the occupations, and here we come to the second question. Okay, women got a higher education level, but what are the fields they study? Maybe the fields they study are not bringing as much income as the male fields. Why this might be so? Well, because women might think they don't have sufficient skills necessary for the fields that are actually that would let them earn a higher level of income. Alternatively, it might be also because women might be willing to have more flexibility, more free time, and basically be able to choose their working time. And also, maybe the fields that also have higher wages also need more work commitment to actually get those high wages. You might not be able to get those high wages immediately, but women might think that they will probably quit the job when they have first child, or maybe they won't be able to at least be as committing as the males. So that might be the reason. So let's look at the numbers. Well, in math, you see actually, this is an interesting one of the interesting case. The percentage in math has increased, physical sciences has increased, psychology is now dominant by women, social sciences is now dominant by women. In economics, for example, you have a significant increase, but still women are the minority. Well, look here, engineering, women are still a very big minority. Computer and information sciences, you have an increase, but still you have a very significant minority. So the gap in fields where the women were minority is closing. However, you still have certain fields where women are a significant minority compared with men. While there are also certain fields where the women are dominant. Health, well, home economics, this is not the actual economics, not that. Education, well, biology and life sciences. Well, you might say these fields might have somehow related to the care, the care work, which is seen as the main type of work women are doing in the economy, and maybe people think that women are more suitable in doing this type of work. And interestingly, in these fields, actually, the participation of women have actually increased, except the increase, and actually in one of the fields, the biology and life sciences, actually, the women become dominant, basically. So, well, this will bring us to the other point, actually. Well, maybe women are not choosing the fields again. Well, there are certain fields which might be bringing money, but certainly in engineering, the low percentage of women brings that question, and computer and information sciences also, which are both high income bringing fields. Maybe women are not choosing those fields because they think the investments in those fields are not worth. Why might they think that? Well, as again, one reason might be because those jobs might be not flexible enough, and they might think they will need flexibility. Another reason might be, again, they might not want to make that investment, and we will see why they might not to make that investment. Again, the ability is another thing, and why they don't have this ability? Well, maybe the way they socialize at the time when they were children was actually preventing them to get sufficient level of skills they need on this. But there could be also another reason, which is a psychological reason. The prejudices against women might actually affect directly their abilities, not only their perceptions, but also the abilities of the woman. So we will talk more on this in the next part. So see you in the next part.